this one.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so how much do you know about police brutality and the race war?
I mean, I usually watch the news and hear about all that stuff, and I'll usually later on look into all that and figure out the statistics and all that of it, but for the most part, I mean, I know it's a little bit more than the common person.
All right, good, good. What do you define as police brutality?
When a policeman or woman will step the boundary, like go over the line, like it's one thing to like make sure that you have authority and order in a situation, but when you abuse that power, that's police brutality.
All right, all right. How do you feel about the way that media portrays this?
The media is just simply trying to get stories. Like most of the time, whenever you see any type of story about police brutality, there's something about it. They're trying to get more people to watch it, and whether it be something like the police person is white and the victim is black. I mean, it's just simple as that. That can easily get more views to the report, and that's simply what the media's trying to do because that's how they make their money.
What do you mean when police overstep the boundary? Like, can you be more specific?
Okay, whenever a policeman will usually, like, say when he's arresting an individual, whether it be white, black, Mexican, whoever, when they use brute force that they are not taught to use in any kind of situation, like they're trained, whatever they're trained to do, they go beyond that, use their own will in that sort of situation. That's stepping boundary, because while they are human, they make mistakes, they have to be able to follow those guidelines because, it's a life or death situation in a lot of these situations. So they have to not step the boundary and just follow the training.
Do you feel that the community and law enforcement are racially biased?
In some places, yes, but for the most part, I think that, everyone will have differing opinions about it. Maybe in a place like New York where they'll, see that they'll think of all cops as bad, even though they really aren't, but that's just simply the community you grow up in, so they always have that belief. And most, like here in the South, like most people will also think, cops are always looking for black people and all that. So, I mean, and then most cops will think that all the people who do bad are black or something like that. I mean, so if basically what I think is that if those different opinions, just they won't even try and, look for the common similarity of them being wrong.
Why do you feel this way?
Because, whenever I hear anyone debate about race and police brutality and about, like, most of the time people won't even go and look at the facts. So, and that's what I usually try to do, so, so that way I can keep a open mind and realize that, I'm not siding with anybody, I'm siding with the truth.
The action would you justify using, like, excessive force?
Like, basically, like, in what situation would a policeman be allowed to use excessive force?
Yes.
If it's a very hostile situation that they haven't had training for, I think that's the only time that they are allowed. If it's something that they're not trained for, then they just have to use their, but most of the time, they're trained for just about every situation there is because of today's world. So I would say that there's not really many times that they can use excessive force, but I would say a more specific time would be like if there's a riot or something when they have to maintain control. That if they use excessive force, then I could understand.
All right. So what about when, like, a police stops a car over and he asks the person to get out, the person gets out the car, but then reaches back in the car very quickly? Would you say the police officer has the go ahead to pull his gun on him? And if so, shoot in that situation?
I would say that they are allowed to pull out their gun and tell them to not reach in their car to let them see their hands, because that. But again, that's what most cops will do. But they are not allowed to shoot right there. That's like shooting first, asking questions later. I mean, you just don't do that as a cop. So, if anything, the cop would be at fault for going ahead and shooting without even trying to investigate a little, because at that point they're probably just scared and doing a natural reaction. But as a cop, you have to be above that and be above their common sense and not go to their natural reaction. Have it be to pull it, or just pull a gun and then tell them to let them see their hands, and then following. That's when, if they're continuing to reach, maybe incapacitate them to where they cannot reach for anything. But I don't think it should be a kill shot, because they're trainers.
What can the community do about all of this?
They shouldn't riot. That's the first thing that they should not do. But what they should do is protest and look more into the situation and find the facts instead of listening to word of mouth and protesting and not use violence. I mean, Dr. King didn't want that, so you shouldn't. So anyone shouldn't want that on black, white, Asian, whoever.